Today, I'm chatting with Samantha Gallagher, who is the Director of Product Compliance at Harry, which is a leader in frontline technologies that deliver solutions across talent acquisition, workforce management, employee engagement, talent intelligence, and compliance. Sammy, thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm very excited to be here.
I'm excited to have you on. We have a new partnership that we're just launching with Harry that we're super excited about. And even from the first conversations I had with the team, this has felt like a really natural fit. I'd love to talk about why it's so important for this focus on compliance for restaurants and hospitality businesses. So, what are some of the compliance challenges that restaurant owners and operators face that have the industry as a whole at an elevated risk for labor law disputes and infractions?
Yeah, I think we could go on and on because the compliance challenges just continue to evolve as time goes on. But I think first and foremost, it's understanding what compliance requirements you have to comply with at the local, state, and federal level. It's balancing those requirements, understanding the differing regulatory agencies. It's remaining engaged with and keeping up with legal updates, right? If you're a fast food operator in New York City, you have New York City Fair Work Week, you have the New York State level requirements, and then you have the federal requirements. Understanding how all of those interact and should shape your business operations is extremely difficult. It takes an extremely engaged operational management. So I think first and foremost, that's probably the most difficult component. I would say second component is training your frontline staff, right? I mean, at Harry, we've really tried to create a workforce management tool that makes the process of managing compliance easy. If you have an upper level management, COO kind of operational team, they're aware of the compliance requirements, right? If your frontline staff, the individuals who are using the tool every single day, don't also understand those requirements, it's not going to work out, right? You need to make sure you have training in place to ensure that they understand why they're being asked to perform the workflows within the workforce management system each day. They need to understand why the laws are so important to comply with, right? Why they need to be collecting certain data points, making sure that employees are taking their breaks, making sure employees are clocking out on time. If they don't understand the downstream ramifications of failing to comply with those specific requirements, they're never going to enforce them in the workplace. The other thing, again, it's unfortunate when it happens, but it's not if you get audited, it's when you get audited.
Yeah.
I think in the legal landscape that we're operating in, it's bound to happen, unfortunately. Something always comes up. So making sure you have a system in place that captures those data points, tracks an employee's time to work, like just the very basic requirements is so important to avoid, again, the ramifications of a failed audit, which is fines, legal ramifications, failure, or inability to actually operate your business in certain jurisdictions sometimes. I would also just like to point out that enforcement of wage and hour requirements is really on the rise. So we saw this under the Biden administration. There was a huge effort to enforce minor compliance, which obviously is a good thing. When you get audited, do you have the ability to prove that you have been operating in compliance with those wage and hour requirements? If you don't, the absence of evidence is not better than the presence of bad evidence sometimes, right? Like if you don't have anything to show, you don't have a defense in that same kind of space. The enforcement mechanisms are evolving and changing as well. I think the best example I can think of is in New York City. They developed this wall of shame, right? Anybody who fails to comply with the New York City requirements as it relates to Fair Work Week, I believe it's also New York State as well. Like you are posted up there with the link to your settlement, your suit, whatever it may be, and it has all of the details. I won't name any names, but there have been some high profile companies that have been posted on that wall of shame. So
Yeah.
it's not good from an employment standpoint. It's not good from a compliance standpoint because obviously it's very costly, but holistically, compliance is really important for your company. Reframing your POV on compliance rather than a burden as a motive for success, I would
Yeah.
say.
Yeah, that's a great point because it's not just about the monetary fines that you get. There are real brand reputation
Yeah,
impacts as well. So like the wall of shame is a perfect example of that and how,
totally.
non-compliance can really impact that. So, there is a growing trend, right, of utilizing technology to automate as much as possible. And that's, continuing
Yeah.
to really grow and escalate, which includes compliance. So how are businesses actually using that to create a competitive advantage in the marketplace?
We exist in the digital age. We live in the digital age. There's no reason that you should have to be managing your compliance on pen and paper. I mean, what a headache that would be. You've got local, state, and federal requirements you're being forced to comply with. That would be a huge headache and honestly impossible. I like to think of it as time saved, right? The less time you spend managing your workforce on pen and paper, the more time you actually get to spend in your restaurant with your employees, helping ensure their success and the success of your business. You're more engaged, you're more focused on them. Framing it as like a competitive advantage, I like to think of compliance as the operational guardrails that are setting up your business for success. They give you the foundation to run your business. It's like a set of rules, right? These compliance rules were established at the end of the day to protect employees. So following these rules, again, allows you to make sure that your employees are engaged, they feel respected, they want to come to work.
Reframing how compliance is viewed at the organizational level, it really signals to the employee base that the employers actually care about their rights and protections.
Yeah.
And that contributes to the employee experience. And then that has downstream implications on the customer experience too. There's an old idiom that I heard that really rings true, is that your customer experience is never going to be higher than your employee experience. Compliance is the foundation of showing that you actually care about the rules, you care about employee rights and protections, and you're going to make sure that you're checking the box there. That's going to have downstream implications on customers.